Okay, so today is day one of Psoriasis Awareness Week, which means it is World Psoriasis Day. Now, just the same as last year, I'm going to be uploading a video every single day throughout the course of the week to my channel, but this year is going to be slightly different. So I want to kind of create a informational hub as such over on my YouTube channel, an area where you can go and watch my videos and find out lots of information and find out the answers to loads of questions that you may have, whether you're newly diagnosed or if you're a long-term sufferer and you're still trying to get clued up on psoriasis. I know the thing to do really now is to just Google, and I know when I was 16, when my psoriasis first flared up, Googling probably was an amazing thing because, as you'll find out later in the video, that's how I found out I had psoriasis. But also it's very scary and daunting, and there's lots of very scary photos and very scary things because there's a lot of information. So I basically want to create these videos over the course of the week, having a really nice, concise place where you can come and just find out loads of information. So today what I thought I would do, as it is World Psoriasis Day, I thought I would share my psoriasis story. Now, I haven't actually done this on video. I have done a couple of blog posts in the past talking about my experience with psoriasis and when I got diagnosed and things like that, but there isn't actually anything on my YouTube channel. So what I thought I would do is I would put it all into a video from the day I first knew I had psoriasis right up to present day. So I've got my phone with me just because I've got dates written down because I have got a terrible memory. So September/October 2011, I first had a rash appear on my stomach. Now, I had no idea what this rash was. It was just a few kind of little dots on my tummy, and it was a little bit weird and I didn't really know what it was. And I remember specifically we were in Southwold. We go to Southwold every single October for my mum's birthday. We were in Southwold and it started to kind of irritate me a little bit more, and I kind of wanted to know what it was. So we went to, it was either a GP or a pharmacist or something like that, and they basically said, oh, you've got an allergy to washing powder. So I was like, oh, okay, that's cool, I'll just change my washing powder and it'll go away. Well, obviously I did change my washing powder and it didn't go away. So then I was like, okay, what is this? So like you do, you start Googling your symptoms. So what I came across and what I thought I had was Psoriasis rosea. Now the pictures match it up perfectly, and I've got a quote on my phone here exactly what Psoriasis rosea is. It says, Psoriasis rosea was classified as pink oval scaly skin patches, which is exactly what was on my stomach. And it said it could last for up to 5 months. So I was like, okay, that's fine. I'll look how to get rid of this. And I specifically remember it said that you should bath in Head and Shoulders, like the dandruff shampoo. So I went out, bought that, bathed in that. It didn't make any difference whatsoever, obviously, because I didn't have Psoriasis rosea, but I didn't know that at the time. So 5 months went by and I was like, okay, well, this should have cleared up by now. It said it was only going to last 5 months. I'm just going to point out, it wasn't an infectious disorder or contagious or anything like that. It was just like a skin problem, so I didn't really have to worry about it, and it didn't really irritate me that much at all. So obviously 5 months went by and it wasn't gone. So I basically went on Google again and just Googled misdiagnosis of Psoriasis rosea, and the first thing that came up was psoriasis, or as I read it, psoriasis, because I didn't know what it was at the time, and obviously it's got a P in front of it. So anyway, I started looking into remedies or ways to cure psoriasis. Found out that there obviously isn't a cure, which was probably quite a hard thing to take on board at 16, knowing that I've got this for the rest of my life. And also, I only had a few dots on my belly at this point. Googling what psoriasis looks like and looking at the photos absolutely terrified me, like absolutely terrified me. All the pictures were like so severe, and I was like, oh my gosh, am I going to end up like that? And I was so scared. But for the next few years, literally, I only had these few dots on my belly. I found out that UV helped psoriasis, so I started having a few sunbeds. I know I was underage, I'm not condoning that, but at that point that's what I did. We went on a few family holidays. I went away with my friends to like Zante and Magaluf and things like that, and it was completely fine. Like, it just went away in the sun. I had a few dots on my belly. It really wasn't the biggest of deals. It went away in the sun and I just didn't really make a big deal about it. That's until February 2014. So fast forward quite a few years and it started to bother me. It started to go on my back, and then it was on my arms and my legs, and then all over my boobs and my chest and my back, and then I started getting it in my scalp and my hair and my ear. It was just everywhere. And I'd convinced myself that I'd given myself this really bad psoriasis because I stopped having sunbeds out of like pure laziness of like just not going. I just wasn't in a routine because it didn't bother me that much. And it just started getting worse and worse and worse, and I just did not know what was going on. So my mum forced me to go back to the GP because obviously I haven't actually had a diagnosis. I'd literally just self-diagnosed myself at home and was kind of dealing with it at home for the past 2 years. So I went to the doctors and they said they were sure that I was right. I said obviously that I thought it was pityriasis rosea. I'm pretty sure it's psoriasis. They were like, yeah, we're pretty sure, but we're going to refer you to a dermatologist. But there is a waiting list for the dermatologist. So this is in the February 2014 that I went for the GP appointment. I didn't get my dermatologist appointment until the 6th of June 2014. But on the 6th of June 2014, I was officially diagnosed with psoriasis. So on my medical records, that is my official diagnosis of psoriasis. But obviously, we know that I was suffering from it from September, October 2011. So the first port of call, obviously I'd had steroid creams from the doctors and things in between this, but they didn't really work for me at all. I don't like steroids. As soon as I stopped using them, it would come straight back, and all of the moisturisers that the doctors gave me are so gross and disgusting. They're sticky, you just don't want to apply them, so they then don't work. So obviously because I'd gone through that, she then said obviously, well, the next port of call is to go for is light therapy. So I was just like, oh cool, sunbeds. And she was like, no, light therapy at the hospital. And I was like, oh wow, I didn't know this was a thing. So you actually can have UVB and UVA therapy at the hospital. So I was prescribed UVB therapy and put on a waiting list for UVB therapy. So fast forward a couple of weeks, and the 27th of June is when I had my first session of light therapy. So I had a few sessions and it wasn't making it any better. In fact, it was actually making it worse because I was being burnt and I was being blistered. I've actually still got scars all over my legs from where the light burnt my legs actually. And I went back to my dermatologist and she agreed. She said, no, it's clearly not working. Your psoriasis is too advanced. It's getting worse and worse and worse. We need to do something about it. So she said that I needed to go on this medication called cyclosporin, and I was just like, oh, there's medications for this? I didn't know. And she gave me this leaflet about it and I was terrified. Absolutely terrified. The list of side effects was never ending. The pros weighed out the cons and I was like, yeah, this is what I need to do. If that's what you think, that's what I need to do. So the 23rd of July 2014 was when I first started on cyclosporin. Now, cyclosporin worked absolutely amazing for me. I'm going to insert some photos of how quick cyclosporin worked. Like literally within 2 to 3 weeks, my skin was already clearing up, and fast forward a couple of months from there, my skin was completely clear. Like it was gone, it just vanished. I remember we were on holiday and my skin was just like falling off in chunks, and then underneath it was just smooth, perfect skin. I will leave a blog post below. I've done a very detailed blog post on when I was on cyclosporin about all of my side effects and everything like that, so I will leave that in the link in the down bar. So I stayed on cyclosporin for just under a year. You're actually only allowed to stay on cyclosporin for a year maximum because it affects your kidneys and liver so much. Every single week that I had to drive to the hospital to have a blood test, my bloods were out of range, my liver and kidney levels were always high, and I was constantly having to drop my medication, higher the dosage, drop the dosage. It was a nightmare, to be fair, but I at this point I didn't care because my skin was clear. So I knew that it was coming up to a year and I was starting to panic a little bit because I knew that I wasn't going to be allowed to be on this drug anymore because it was affecting my liver and kidneys so much. And I knew that I was going to have to go on something else. And the next port of call is methotrexate. And obviously I googled it again. And I used to get told off so much by my dad to stop googling things about psoriasis because I used to just sit and cry reading all the depressing forums of people like just moaning about it and being so negative and so depressed, and I just used to sit and cry like, this is going to be me, this is my life. Which is why obviously I set up my blog. So that was a kind of a safe place for me to talk to people, and instead of looking at the really depressing forums and like torturing myself knowing that I'm gonna have this for life. On May the 18th, 2015, so a year later pretty much, I had another dermatology appointment, and obviously my dermatologist confirmed my fears. I had to come off cyclosporin and go on to methotrexate. So at this point you can't just come off a medication and go on to another. You have to kind of like lower one and then higher the other and take little bits and go bit by bit. So I had to drop my dosage of cyclosporin down to 75 milligrams, I think it was, and then I had to start taking half the dose of methotrexate, and then I had to lower the cyclosporin again and then have a bit more methotrexate until I was going down to like 5 milligrams of cyclosporin and almost the full dose of methotrexate until I'd got rid of the cyclosporin and I was fully on methotrexate. So those weeks of having 2 immunosuppressants in my body were hell. I honestly, I don't even remember them because I just felt like death. I just slept. I felt horrific. It was awful. And then when I went on to methotrexate, I instantly had really bad side effects. In the meantime of teetering between them, I flared up quite badly, and I was like, okay, this is irritating. And I know that methotrexate takes 2 months to start working, whereas cyclosporin only takes 2 weeks-ish to start working. So I had this massive flare-up come up, and I was like, great, it's not going to go away for another 2 months because methotrexate takes so long to work within your body. So I had a little bit of a bad flare. It was nothing compared to how it was. But the methotrexate did start working, but I had horrendous side effects. I was so ill on methotrexate. It was just awful, and everyone is completely different, but I really, really suffered with it. I know people that have been on it for years and years and years and never had any side effects, but for me, it really affected my body. I was sick constantly. I was always ill. I would take it. I was supposed to take my medication on a Monday morning, and I would literally feel like death until about Thursday evening, and then no, I've only got a couple of days before I needed to take my medication again. So I started taking my medication on a Sunday night, like really late, so I could sleep off most of the side effects, but it still didn't really make me much better. I would just wake up in the night and have to be sick in the night and just feel awful. The only way I could describe it is if you've ever had tonsillitis and you've been that ill with tonsillitis mixed with the worst hangover you've ever had together, that's what it feels like. So I really struggled with the side effects, and it got to the point where I was flaring up and I was having these side effects, and I was just like, seriously, what's the point? Like, why am I dealing with the fact that my skin's bad and I'm having these side effects? I may as well just have the bad skin if I'm not reaping any benefits from taking these medication. It's giving me really bad side effects. So I stopped taking my methotrexate. I am going to do a video on how I was hospitalised with epidermic psoriasis, and that will include my entire story on coming off methotrexate. So keep an eye out for that video this week, but I don't want to give too much away in this video. So I stopped the methotrexate in May 2016. And then my skin stayed moderately okay. I was flared, but I was okay. I was handling it. And that was until June, July, where my skin went crazy. I've never experienced anything like it. It just went mad. Like, it flared up quicker than it ever has before. I literally would go to sleep and wake up with 100 new spots on my body. Like, it would just develop overnight. It was so rapid. It was just bizarre. And I kind of knew in the back of my head that I was going on holiday in August, so I was like, it'll be okay, I'll go on holiday and it'll just clear up. Well, I went on holiday and obviously it didn't clear up, and it just got worse and worse and worse. In September 2016, I was hospitalised with a potentially life-threatening form of psoriasis. So fast forward from that, October 2016, I started the biologic medication Stelara, and to present day, that has been my psoriasis story. So I am now on the biologic medication Stelara, and I will be doing a video on that as well, so keep your eyes peeled for that too. But yeah, that is my psoriasis story. So obviously 2011 to 2017, I've been suffering with it for quite a while now, nowhere near as much as some people. I've kind of been through everything. I've tried pretty much every cream that the doctor has recommended. I've tried all of the bogus cures. That obviously there isn't a cure for psoriasis. That was the biggest learning curve for me. There is no cure for psoriasis. If you see anything that says that there is a cure, if you see any cream that says it will cure psoriasis, it will not. There isn't a cure. There is no scientific cure. There is no medical cure for psoriasis. It cannot be cured. at this present time. They are obviously researching it, and hopefully one day, I really do hope that there will be a cure, and I don't doubt for a second that there will be in the future, but right now there isn't a cure. So if there is any creams or anything like that that promises you a psoriasis cure, please don't believe it, please don't be fooled by it. Make sure you like this video and share it with your friends. These videos are going to really help raise awareness, and I didn't know what psoriasis was when I was first diagnosed with it. If we can get to a point where psoriasis is as recognised as eczema, that will be just amazing. Knowing that people know what psoriasis actually is and know how actually important it is and how bad it can get, because a lot of people are just like, oh, it's just a skin disorder. No, I was hospitalised and almost died. Psoriasis can get very bad, and it impacts your insides as well as your outsides. So there is definitely more awareness that is needed for psoriasis, and that is obviously what I'm campaigning to do. That's my job, that's what I do, that's why I run my Instagram, that's why I run my blog, that's why I reply to all of you guys, that's why I make these videos, is to raise awareness and help you guys out. So if you've got any questions about psoriasis, please leave them in the down bar and I'll be sure to answer them in a video. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you later.